All right, folks, I'd like to, this time I'd like to call the June 3rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh to order. It is now 5:04 p.m. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Garland, will you please conduct a roll call?
Mayor Rutherford.
Here.
Councilor Canales.
Here.
Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Councilor Gibb. Here. Councilor Talon. Here. Councilor McFarland.
Here.
Councilor Moore.
Here. All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the May 20th, 2021 regular meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I will now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Councilor Canales, second by Councilor Gibbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I will now recognize those in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged, and when called upon, we ask that you please state your legal name and address for the record. And in accordance with the organizational rules of order, all speakers will be given 5 minutes to address the council.
How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. My name is Stephen Lyon.
Hey, Stephen, how are you, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you in person.
Awesome. You know,
28 Grace Avenue, Plattsburgh. I have a bird flu issue, and it's impacting the quality of life of my family. We like to do a lot of stuff outdoors. Our neighbor has about 12 bird feeders in the backyard. There's an ordinance in place that it says it may be a nuisance to feed birds. However, it excludes bird feeders.
it does.
It does.
Yeah.
So we try to mitigate it by putting up owls and shiny flags, the whole 9 yards. That compounded for all. More bird feeders are out there. So we've got bird poop all over our yard. So I'm just starting a discussion on possibly changing the language of the ordinance to address excessive bird feeders.
Yep.
And I don't know how it goes from here, but I just want to get it on the table and voice our concern.
Yeah, thank you.
Good?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate
Awesome. Yep, no problem.
it. Anybody else like to address the council?
Denise Nephew, 24 Smith Street. I'm here to question resolution 7.134 for the real property. There's no money in the resolution. There's no purchase agreement on the website. The seeker seems pretty quick. Should we have a seeker hearing? There, as you know, there's already no access to the waterfront. It's either private or whatever city waterfront we have is blocked. There's no access off of Ohio Avenue. I believe that's called Marina Drive. There's still a concrete barrier there. There has been for a few years. That's a beautiful little beach there. Big concrete barrier that is no access. There's still no access to the beach. Those gates are locked with a gate, with a lock. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to know that if this, and this is only a 207-21-3, this is only a parcel ID on here. There was no address, no anything. This is really vague. This doesn't tell anything. When you look it up on ImageMate, it's 5 Dock Street, which must be the Dock Street area, the Marina area, which Spiegel owns. And if Spiegel is selling this, there's got to be a reason he's not making money. Now, we all know COVID hit everything pretty hard. But this is changing. This is turning around. And We need to take care of the waterfront we have. If there's obviously an issue, where there's a concrete barrier out of it. That needs to be, whatever's going on there, which I suspect is the concrete that used to be when the air base was there, it needs to be taken out. Needs to be fixed. We should have access to our waterfront, but we do not. There's no access there, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if the Spiegel International wants this, is telling this, there's something going on. You know, just please, let's get this out in the open, talk about this. You know, we're not even out of the COVID money problem yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we will now go on to committee reports. Each standing committee is chaired by a councilor, and I'll call on the chairperson of each committee, starting with the city operations councilor.
Yes, no updates at this time, but I think our next committee meeting is next Monday, or is it Monday after that? Is it infrastructure?
Infrastructure, then public, and then you.
Okay, so, okay. But other than that, no updates.
Great, thank you. Finance and economic development, I do have an item on this agenda approving the appointment of our community engagement coordinator. And we do have our next regular meeting or next meeting of the committee on the 10th, which is next Thursday. City Infrastructure Council on.
We're gonna have our next regular meeting the 7th, next Monday. Paving season began as many people have probably noticed. You have to bear with us. Roads have to be prepped before they're paved, so bear with it. It's a good thing. And hopefully we'll get a lot of roads paved this year. That's all I have here.
Yeah, as we mentioned before, there's an amount of CHIPS funding that has been available, but then another additional chunk of cash that we're also spending toward infrastructure improvements. So nice to see. Public Safety Councilor Gibbs.
No updates.
I will now move on to liaison reports. Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor McFarland.
No further updates from last time. The library is open. You're allowed to browse. You're allowed to use the computers. Last I knew, they were still requiring face masks. If that's changed in the last week, I haven't gotten an update on that. But the library is open, and please feel free to attend it.
Okay. Mr. Sneller, any staff member reports? No, I don't need for executive from my perspective. There are no special committee reports. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the payrolls of various city departments for the week ending June 3rd, 2021 in the amount of $477,135.01. Councilor Moore, second by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion. Roll call.
Council Canal?
Yes.
Council Kelly?
Yeah.
Council Gibbs? Yes. Council Talon? Yes. Council McFarland?
Yeah.
Council Moore?
Yes,
Carried. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the bills audited by the Common Council for the weeks ending June 2nd, 2021 in the amount of $205,348.73. Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Canales. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, just my resolution says June 4th. I think it said June 2nd.
Is it June? It's June 4th. Okay. June 4th. Yeah, sorry. I apologize. I feel in mind. Thank you. Roll call.
Council Canal?
Yes.
Council Kelly?
Yeah.
Council Gibbs? Yes. Council Talon? Yes. Council McFarland?
Yes.
Council Moore?
yes.
Carried.
Mr. Mayor, actually, the one report, they June 4th as well.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a typo. Not sure if that's actually true.
The Wednesday, it's always the Wednesday.
No, the table is June 4th.
Right, but on our-
June 3rd.
But we always put it on the Wednesday meeting.
Thank you. Before voting on the following resolutions, I'll note that the majority of these resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by appropriate committees and department heads. We're now taking action on these items in large part due to the recommendation of the committees. Ms. Garland, will you please read the titles of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Item 7.127, appointment of Courtney Meisenheimer, Community Engagement Coordinator.
Motion. Councilor Canales, second, by Councilor Gibbs. Discussion. I did ask Courtney to join us tonight. If you all wanted the introduction, Most of you all know that she's been in the community for quite some time. And has a nice family over here in Ward 5, right? You live in Ward 5? Yeah.
What about some more fun?
It's on Nichols,
Oh.
Nichols and Peter. Yeah, I think if you walk your dog around there.
That's the right one without a rugby swap.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.128, authorizing revising capital project H8130.64, 2018 WRRF mitigation.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Moore, discussion.
Yes, could we get an explanation on this?
Sure.
Probably know we're doing mitigation work at the wastewater treatment plant, water resource recovery facility. And we've been doing a lot of engineering, and most recently, you all authorized the engineering construction services for the new disinfection building that we're going to be constructing. So that puts the amount that we spent out of this capital project over the prior appropriations for that. Now, on Monday, the infrastructure committee meeting, we're going to be talking about pre-prime contracts for the construction of that building, with anticipation of awards on June 17th.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon? Yes. Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.129, authorizing revising capital project H8130.68, 2021 WRRF disinfection and odor control.
Motion, Counselor Gibbs, second by Counselor Canales, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon? Yes. Counselor McFarland?
Yeah.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.130, authorizing change order M1 WRRF dewatering upgrade.
Motion, Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Canales, discussion.
Hey, John, can we get a brief update on this?
So we're finishing up the construction of the new dewatering system and primary clarifier upgrades. There were 3 prime contracts on that also. One of them was a mechanical contract. And built into that contract was the $20,000 allowance that we require bidders to bid on based on lump sum. They all bid on it. And then we can use that money as small changes come up that we might need to authorize in the field. For this particular contract, we did not need to spend any of that money, so this is actually a deduct change order to decrease the total contract price by $20,000 due to that allowance that wasn't used.
Any further discussion?
specifically, John, what equipment are we going to be buying for this, just so everyone can know?
But this is all done.
Oh,
Yeah, this is.
it's okay, this is just cheap.
It's a refund back, so it's a refund back based on the amounts that were paid to the project, that are not.
It's the good kind of change order.
It's a positive.
We like to have those once in a while.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canales?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon? Yes. Counselor McFarland?
Yeah.
Counselor Moore?
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.131, authorizing street closure for Cahock, Marion to Margaret.
Motion by Counselor McFarland, second by Counselor Kelly. Thank you. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. May. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
May, correct? May 18th? Oh, no,
It says June 19th.
Because it says here, hold on, and it's going to be for June 19th?
Correct. The
Okay.
closure is on June 19th. It's the same closure that Mr. Strand requested before.
Right, okay.
And the only question I had was,
Yes.
I remember last time you said a couple of businesses had been consulted.
Yes.
In the future, we will consult.
Yes, that's accurate. And that was also added to the application as a kind of we trust you that you've done this, so check the box. Have you contacted those impacted parties due to the street closure? So yes, and it's also been confirmed with the Strand.
Nice. And is this gonna be like the exact same as the last one they did, or is this like a Juneteenth celebration?
No, I don't, I just think it happens just to be on the same date, but it is the similar kind of cracker market that they hosted last time.
Perfect. It was
Yeah.
great. I loved
Yeah,
it.
it was good. Talon?
Oh, no, the Mother's Day one was fantastic, and just, this one, I'm sure we'll have the same kind of, turnout. And hopefully, they'll keep going with this, because it's fantastic. People love, being in the street, being able to shop and get food, just all for it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Canal?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yeah.
Counselor Moore?
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.132, authorizing revising capital project H5110.51, 2015 building improvement.
Motion. Counselor Canales, second by Counselor Gibbs. Discussion.
Yes, can we get an explanation on this? Because I don't remember what this is.
Sure, this was a capital project originally approved back in 2015 for a number of improvements here at City Hall. Over the years, it's morphed from more of a kind of a catch-all for improvements to the building to one that is specific towards completing the City Hall window replacement project. So, Richard, when was the last revision of this capital project? Sometime earlier, or last year?
Last year,
Yeah. So last year, all of the funding that had not been expended or encumbered under several of the sub-budget items within the capital project was shifted towards the windows replacement section of the capital project. What this particular resolution is doing is adjusting the contribution of the general fund because MLD is contributing $250,000 to the windows replacement project as part of IEP funding to increase energy efficiency here at City Hall.
So what is the dollar amount attached to this?
We're reducing the general fund amount by 116,000, I think it was 106,000, and increasing the IEP fund.
Director Miller, when will this project be completed? It's 6 years going now.
I will say that Matt in his office has been really grinding on these windows. It went through planning, sorry to interrupt you, but it went through planning because there was a change to the process for replacing the windows. We had to go out to a sole source supplier to find like-for-like replacements. Meaning the original project was to take the original window out, fix the original window, and then reinstall the original window. That found to be cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I
So-
remember Superintendent Bassett going over that, and I still couldn't understand. He explained it to me, and I still didn't understand why we had to do that.
Yeah, well, it was part of the whole original requirements because it's a historic building. So we had to replace the window, the actual window. So alternatively, we ended up going out to a sole source supplier to find a very, very similar product, which we had to go back to planning to get that approved, and then also had to go out to SHPO to get an approval for replacing a like-for-like window, not for the exact remediation of the car. That's been approved. So right now, we should be done this project by year's end.
And today's date, there's only been one window that's been replaced.
That was the sample window. Have y'all seen the sample window down in the
No.
buildings? We'll take a trip after to show you what the window looks like. It looks like these windows, but it's kind of rebuilt.
And no more energy efficient?
The new ones are, yes, because it's double paned, it's properly built, made of wood, still made of wood, but it looks just like it's built.
And is every window in City Hall being replaced? Because last time I remember that it wasn't gonna be every single one.
So the current quote that we have would allow us to replace every window in City Hall with the current funding arrangement that this capital project resolution codified. And a minor clarification as to the schedule there, based on this, how customized these windows are, it's anywhere from a 4 to 6 month lead time. So we're looking at late fall before we get the actual installations, and then it's going to be up to the manufacturer as to how quickly we can get all the windows replaced at that point.
It's the manufacturer that's gonna be doing installation of the Department of Public Works.
No, it's going to be the manufacturer. They're actually coming on site next week to take some specific measurements just to make sure they have all their stuff.
Perfect, that's the best update I've heard on this project.
Yes, I would agree. It's been lingering.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on this? Roll call.
Counselor Canal?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yeah.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon? Yes. Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes,
Carries.
Item 7.133 and 7.134 were withdrawn. Item 7.135, authorizing travel request for police department employees.
Motion, Counselor Canal, second by Counselor Gibbs, discussion.
Yes, did we get an explanation of this?
Yes, this was, oh, sorry, go ahead.
So this was training that came to our attention very late last week. It's drug interdiction training that's sponsored by HIDA, which is the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area. It's fully funded by HIDA, and the district attorney's office has also agreed to fund an additional person. So because it was last minute, we wanted to get this in front of you all.
And it's coming out of active forfeiture, correct?
No, it's fully funded through this item.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's reimbursed, travel and private expenses. And it's actually pretty expensive otherwise. I think it's $500 registration for the subject. Without, just, for someone that's uninvited to come to the training.
So what will the training do for the officers? What knowledge base will it provide us?
Drug interdiction.
Drug interdiction is, there's a wide encompassing topic, but it's essentially identifying individuals and vehicles that could be transported for trafficking narcotics. And it's techniques and identifying patterns and identifying these vehicles and searching in accordance with the criminal procedural law, enforcement measures, search procedure as well.
On this subject, how many police dogs do we have at the station now?
0.
And are any more being trained on this?
Not currently.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard a lot of them had to retire when marijuana became legal. I don't know.
We haven't had a police dog since 1997.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
And I asked you for this a couple times, and I haven't seen anything. Are there any trainings that our officers are going to be going to soon about interacting with companion animals, specifically dogs?
We don't have anything on the schedule as of right now, but I have actually seen some of these trainings that are becoming available. So part of the issue is that many of these topics aren't certified or endorsed by the Department of Services. So what we typically find in these areas are subject matter experts, but not anybody from the area. So I have seen some things from Request Police One actually with service animals and companion interactions with law enforcement.
Yeah, that's something that I'd be interested in. But and Chief, where are they traveling to?
I believe it is.
You just got a promotion.
I forgot actually.
Layton.
Yes, I'm over here.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, any further discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Roll call.
Counselor Canal?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon? Yes. Counselor McFarland?
No.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Is there any further, is there new business to come before us? Counselor Kelly.
While I was on vacation, I was contacted by two constituents. One who lives on South Platte Street, who says that people are using her street as a speedway to get from the US Avenue to other parts of the city. She wondered if it might be possible to place one of those readers on her street that will
That
tell people how fast.
Yeah.
Do we have one of those, Captain Keeper?
We do not.
Oh, we do.
We've researched the purchase of those over the last few years. When the base left in the 90s, we were donated or gifted a smart trailer, so it was essentially a trailer that had a that has outlived its useful life, unfortunately, with the cost of repair that is far more. Nowadays, they have a sign, it's all self-contained, you can catch it. But there's several $1,000s. I've actually personally researched and purchased several of those using asset forfeiture funds, so it is possible in the future.
Wasn't there discussion, I remember Chief presenting something to the council maybe about 2 years ago about one going on Ruger Street?
Ruger Street was purchased by Cindy.
Okay.
But we actually researched and looked into buying our own for it. And I wanted something, personally wanted something that we do, for.
Yeah, that's high.
Do we know if those actually like lower speeds? Is there research on that?
There is actually, and I don't have to find it, I apologize, but, historically that says, suggests that it doesn't assist. I'm not gonna say absolutely, because there's always that potential for something that I've seen how fast it go, but, for the most part, it has, lower speeds.
And like this was on South Platt Street,
Yeah.
and so someone's speeding. Can you
Trying to
say?
visualize that.
Yeah.
They turn left off US Avenue and go towards South Capitol Street as fast as they possibly can.
To get up Broad Street faster?
To get to Broad Street or Cornelia Street, where they're going. So, according to her, it happens quite frequently. And absentee readers, I wonder, what can we do for this person and her street?
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly discuss that, and I can have a conversation with supervisors to increase our controls in that area. That's what it is.
That would be very helpful. Thank you. The second item is, a resident on Stelter Road contacted me, said that on a regular basis, a person, and he believes it's the same person, deposits their garbage, at the intersection of Stelter Road and the Saranac River Trail, where the trail goes down to the college property, right in that vicinity. And I've seen it there myself, so I know that he knows what he's talking about. He lives there. He goes and picks it up on a regular basis. And he asked me, what can be done about that? And I thought if we have a portable camera, maybe we could catch the culprit in action. Do we have such a thing as a portable lead there?
Not that I know of. Hopefully that person doesn't want the council. Or maybe it'll stop. Is this someone depositing garbage in a trash can?
No,
It's probably around the trail there.
On the Saranac River Trail.
No, it's very
It's
interesting.
about as thoughtless as any human being can be, I think, because that's supposed to be a place we all go and enjoy and feel safe. So, I'd like to be able to tell that constituent, yeah, we're gonna do something about it. Perhaps a no littering sign, littering fine $250 or whatever it is. And
I doubt that will deter him, but I do think the littering fines in the city of Leicester should be higher. As $250 is certainly a large amount, but there's no reason for people to be littering, especially dumping garbage on a trail like that. It's absurd.
People just on the road too sometimes. That's food bags, great, I'm still there all the time.
Why seltzer? Just because it's not well traveled?
It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a back road, but it's definitely not a broad street, you know what I mean? So it's one of those roads that are kind of like off the beaten path a little bit. Doesn't have a lot of houses on it. It's one side of the cemetery, the other side of the trail. So there's not a lot of people that are out there watching folks.
yeah, I thought maybe I'd take a lawn chair there and set it up.
Just waiting, waiting for
That's unnatural.
I think I told you
That's dedicated.
I guess that's part of our duty as council. Look at the problem.
Listen, if you catch that culprit, you'll get a reward.
Well, I get a ribbon or something.
I'll get you a ribbon if you catch that person. I'll give you.
I'm gonna try.
Councilor Town.
Okay, I don't know if you've gone on Facebook today, but somebody was, making people aware of there's a speeding problem on Oak Street. So, I guess that's something that came right to you, especially around the
Good. Thank you.
Oak Street especially, I would imagine, has a lot because it's one way and two lanes, so people can jostle in between.
Which I saw the video, that's what they were doing. Speeding over here, going into this lane, speeding through. It is a problem. I've heard the same problem.
We've got that in all kinds of places.
We have too many one-ways in the city.
Well, we just have that issue in the city. I mean, in my own neighborhood, which is behind my house, through Sandra and Aaron and there, it's residential, people blowing through stop signs, I mean, I watch it all the time. It's just, it happens everywhere in the city. For people going too fast, we're trying to race, or they're dangerous up and down River Street, especially at the top of the river, coming all the way down.
Well, Kogan Avenue too, we heard that.
Kogan Avenue.
You know what helped that is a 10-foot white line. I don't know if that brought that up before.
You brought it up, Councilman Ricardo. Did you have something else?
I have one thing to bring up. I know we all get an email. I think we all get an email. I get an email. Again, it's a recurring issue that gets brought to the council every once in a while. It is burning and fires yards and people not complying with the 25-foot rule. We got an email, I want to say earlier this year, from a lady who said she was being smoked out of her house or something like that. We got an email yesterday. And it's an issue, and I know we brought it up before, and I know Councilor Schneller's mentioned that there might be some First Amendment issue with religious rights, but I'm perfectly in favor of just banning fires in the city. I have a fire pit.
I am too, but we keep revisiting it, it's like sitting through another bad movie, oh, I've already seen this, we just keep talking about it, and we end up in the same place, but I would be 100% in favor of a completely citywide ban.
Put a time, we can put a time on it, such as 2 hours. You can go enjoy a fire for 2 hours, but that's it. After that, you put it out.
Doesn't get rid of it.
Well, I will say this, the problem seems to be that enforcement's difficult when there's gray area. And people commonly say that, like, if I call the police, they're like, we're not gonna enforce it. It's 20 feet, 25 feet, go out with a tape measure. I think an outright ban really takes any ambiguity out of it, any gray area, there's no.
I suppose that if we've heard this, and we've had this conversation at least twice already this year, now the third time. But I suppose for me, it's always the question about the problem we're trying to solve. If the problem we're trying to solve is to get the smoke out of people's homes, then does that mean then you also say no wood burning fires in the city of Plattsburgh, right? Because that's part of the problem. My example was my neighbor has a wood burning stove in his garage. He burns wood, goes into my house, right? Like that's not open, it's just part of the neighborhood, It's contained, not like a fire out like a pit or anything like that, but it's still, I could see some people being like, oh, that's problematic. Doesn't bother me, but I can see where it would bother people. But is that also part of that ban? Like no wood burning fires in the city because it creates the same similar problem, which we're trying to address here as a bonfire or a chimney or something like that.
I don't think it's the same problem, because if you are, you have a wood, like, are you talking like a wood burning furnace?
Like a stove, like wood burning stove or something like that.
Then you're probably doing that when the weather's cold and the windows are closed. And it seems to me the issue is the backyard fires when the weather is nice and people want to gather around and they want to, socialize in the backyard. Even if you put 2 hours on it, the minute there's smoke, even from putting it out, it's still the issue. I don't think Jeff and I had this conversation one other time where we said, fires are for campsites, not for homes. And I would love to see a citywide ban eliminate the ambiguity altogether. That's that. And there's no more discussion about it. I love having a fire in my yard, but I understand there are so many homes that are close together in the city. That is the biggest issue. We are a 5 square mile city with 20,000 people in it, and a lot of homes super close together. And then, so if you observe your neighbor having a fire in their backyard, you don't want to be a bad neighbor. That is a huge reason why people don't want to.
Yeah, you're not gonna write your neighbor out.
Right, and so it just, so you suffer, and then we just keep recycling the same problem. So we're either gonna have to take a stand and say, no more fires, that's it, we're done. Or we just accept the fact that there's smoke and because of fire. I mean, to me, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of way to go.
Yeah, it's either all or nothing. Yeah, and it's not even all right now. There's certain regulations around how you can have a fire in your backyard, whether those regulations are enforced. Is one thing, but even the opportunity to enforce it would require somebody saying, hey, there's a fire in my neighbor's backyard. We just said they're not gonna do it.
It's great for, a person having the fire, but everyone around them is forced to participate in this. So, the people who are there get the fire enjoyment, and everybody else gets to smoke in the windows. And,
So maybe we can update our nuisance law, get rid of fires in backyards, and maybe do something with bird feeders too.
I think murder is worse. But they were,
Yeah, I don't know, but.
we are,
Yeah,
but
I mean.
I understand that.
We spoke about that, and, I had a nice conversation with Sean as well about this issue. And it's hard, in our code, even though it does seem to create a nuisance, there's nothing in our code that prevents bird feeders specifically from doing that. And then if we say, well, you're only limited to one bird feeder in your backyard, it could be the size of a silo, but it's still one bird feeder. Either way.
We tried feral cats.
Can I mean, in order, can I talk? I mean,
Watch
in order to get.
Watch it.
Typically no, but please. Okay. Yes. So I put up a privacy fence, so I had to get a permit to put up a privacy fence. I had to go before the ZBA because it was on the sidewalk. You guys all had control over that, which impacted my neighbors. The bird feeders, he can just put as many bird feeders as he wants, and that impacts my life. And you guys have no say over it.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Monahan?
Sure.
How many bird feeders are there?
We counted as many as 12. Code enforcement has been there. We put up owls, and that brought more bird feeders on. I mentioned it to them, and that brought more bird feeders. So it's an issue. And I've got 3 young kids, and 2 of them like to play with poop, because it looks like Play-Doh. And I had a sick kid all weekend long.
That's not a good thing.
Pretty sure it's some bird poop.
Thank you. I will say the Mayor's Cup event is happening. You can see make sure YouTube sees this shirt. Nice shirt. They are for sale as a fundraiser for, I'm not promoting the fundraiser piece, but the shirts are for sale. Mayor's Cup is going to be hosted at the City Beach this year, June 10th, rain date for June 11th. They have a number of events that are happening out there. So I do encourage everybody to kind of gear up for Mayor's Cup. Also, we are planning on a 4th of July parade that is in the works right now, scheduled, organized, approved by the health department. The theme is space, and we're looking at doing a number of exciting things for the community. So,
We're gonna get one of those shirts. Sunrise Rotary?
Yeah, Sunrise Rotary.
So,
If there's no,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that, we have a constituent in the audience who brought up the concern. I realized 7133 and 7134 were withdrawn.
Yep.
But I think that, we should address concerns, that were brought up. Are we gonna have any discussion about this? Or
not-
we'll leave it for the committee for next
we'll leave it
Thursday?
for the committee for next Thursday.
And there will be public comment on that?
Yeah, we don't do public comment in committee, but we'll, obviously, as a courtesy, we not opposed to it, right? So we'll leave this for comment and discussion at the committee meeting where appropriate.
So is the purchase agreement going to be made public on the website for the public to see?
It will be made public for everybody to see, along with all the supporting documentation as
Thursday.
as all committee documentation is. No further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Counselor McFarland, Counselor Canales, all in favor? Opposed?